So here's another game you can play with people just to get to know them better. It gets people talking about themselves, and so you can get to know each other better. You start by creating a list of decisions that people will have to make. Only two choices. Then you go around the room one by one and randomly present one of the decisions to each person. And they have to make a decision and explain it before you move on to the next person. Some people will try to not make a decision, but you get the others to put pressure on them and until they do it. And then they explain why they made that decision. The fact is, we make decisions all the time. Yet often we probably don't even know why we decide one way or another. We dig a little deeper when we have to explain our decisions, but that can be difficult, especially for some people. We have to know ourselves. Why do we decide the things we decide? Some people don't know themselves, and some people don't want to know themselves. Then there are other people who are actually quite full of themselves.
Lionel, glad you could make it. Can I get you a drink?
Yeah, something soft. I'm driving. Parking's an absolute nightmare around here, isn't it? Had to reverse into the tiniest of spaces. Still, I managed it. I mean, parking's not exactly brain surgery, is it? And I should know.
Why is that? Are you a doctor?
Careful. Not a doctor. I'm a brain surgeon. Big difference. Big difference. Yeah, I actually know a joke about this. What's the difference between a doctor and a brain surgeon? One's not exactly brain surgery. The other is brain surgery. So, what do you guys do?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I could do with an accountant. Filling in those tax forms can get really confusing, can't it? Still, it's not exactly brain surgery, is it? I mean, brain surgery, believe me, is very complex. Are you an accountant too?
No, I work for a charity.
Oh, that's a very selfless job, isn't it? I really admire you. I don't think I could ever do what you do. I say that because it's emotionally draining, not because it's hard. I mean, it's not exactly brain surgery, is it? Which, as a brain surgeon, is what I do.
Lionel, here's your drink. Lionel's a brain surgeon, you know.
Yeah, he mentioned it.
Oh, Jeff, they keep you late at the Space Centre.
As always.
This food round. Have you met Lionel?
No, hello, Lionel.
So, Jeff, how do you earn a crust?
Well, I'm a scientist. I work mainly with rockets. It's pretty tough work. What do you do?
Why, I don't mean to boast, but I'm a brain surgeon.
Brain surgery? Not exactly rocket science, is it?
Apparently, he's not aware. But you know what? This thing of self-awareness, this is really critical for our development and for our leadership. And we want to present to you a tool that was actually invented way back in 1955 by two psychologists who came up with a way of visualizing how we interact with people, what we share and what we listen for feedback. And these two psychologists' names were Joseph Luft and Harry Ingram. And so they called their model the Joe Harry window.
Not exactly brain surgery.
Not exactly brain surgery for that creative name. You're right there. But they put it into this matrix, this four-paned window, which we're going to show you in just a second here. And it's really basically answering two questions. How aware are we about how we're disclosing information about ourselves or not, which is the transparency piece? And how willing are we to receive feedback, which is the vulnerability? So transparency and vulnerability. So here's what the picture looks like. Here's what the quadrant looks like. This green box here, you can see, is the things that are known by you and by others. So you can see the vertical columns are known by you and the horizontal columns are others. So the green box, you know it and other people know it. This is things like public information, your name, where you live, and what your job is. The kinds of things that we are commonly knowing about each other. And you're confident about knowing these things. You're glad to tell them these things, and you're safe and you feel accepted. But the fact is, this is you and people know it. So we would call that the green box. Now, the yellow box in this diagram are things that are known by you, but are unknown by others. And this could be positive things like personal experiences or talents or success, maybe dreams, aspirations, maybe plans you've got. You know them, but other people don't. And you can be open by purposely sharing them. And you may be excited about sharing them. For example, you might say, hey everybody, I'm pregnant. Or maybe you should, or more accurate, my wife is pregnant. But you're excited to say this. You may act humble about things. You may act excited, that you may be confident. It's because you know something that other people don't know. However, each of these quadrants has a shadow side. So there may be some negative things that you know and you don't want anybody else to know. Maybe it's like financial problems or fears you have or failures or sins in your life or addictions. And these things that you know but others don't know can still show up as you acting withdrawn or cautious, or maybe even obnoxious or aggressive or overcompensating. And these things can really be a hindrance to our relationships.
Right.
But there's another box I want to talk about, and that's the blue one. We call it the blind spot. This is things that are not known by you, but they are known by other people. This would be things like your body language or the tone of your voice or the attitude that you're giving off. You may not be aware of how you're coming across. And these blind spots are often weaknesses or strange mannerisms. And it might be evidenced by somebody excessively talking, and just talking over people, not even aware that they're doing this. Everybody else is like, oh, brother, this person won't listen. The person talking is not even aware of it. Or perhaps this person is always joking and always disrupting the conversation by, oh, I have another joke, and he'll tell you that one. And they're just coming across in negative ways that makes everybody else uncomfortable, but they're unaware. Wow. But if somebody is a friend enough to tell you something that you're doing, that is a great gift. In fact, in the scripture, it says, how faithful are the wounds of a friend. So
Right.
that's someone telling you something that kind of hurts a bit, but you know what? You needed to hear that. So, if I was about to get up to speak and my good friend John here said, hey, Dan, just a second. Did you realize your fly's open? Oh, that's embarrassing, but I am so glad you would have told me that. Otherwise, I would have been up there with a blind about what's going on. So we actually need good feedback.
But I probably wouldn't have told you. So
You would have just laughed the whole time I'm up there. Oh, well, you know what? We need good friends who can help us with that kind of thing. But we do have one last box, and that's the black one called the subconscious box. And this is unknown to you and unknown by others. And this is where we have it's usually in the negative ways we think of them first. These are the awkwardness that a person acts or unexplained behavior or confusion or some addictions. And maybe they're kind of out of control. The person doesn't know why they're feeling like this. They don't know why they're acting like this, and neither do the people around them. It's just like, what? Why? But on the other hand, this box could be in a positive vein. You may have untapped potential or unexplored gifting that is there, and it's being exhibited in some unexplained confidence that you have or unexplained joy that you have in certain things that you don't know why. People around you don't know why, but there is something within you that is giving you this positive thing. So we've got 4 boxes, and understanding them is really helpful for self-awareness.
Right. So let's take a look at some examples of Johari windows and how we can interpret them So we're going to show you some examples and give you some possible interpretations of what we see in the formation of this window. So the first one is this. Now, what do you see? Well, we think that this formation is telling us they don't really know themselves, and they don't really want anyone else to know themselves either. And that's the size of the green box. It's small. It's not allowing people to know them, and they actually don't receive feedback enough to know themselves very well either. The larger blue box is saying that they are not self-aware, which indicates blind spots. They apparently don't listen to feedback and so are quite closed and cautious. The yellow box shows that they don't say what they're thinking. Maybe they're afraid of what people might think. The larger black box indicates that they don't really examine what they're thinking, so they probably are often misunderstood. Overall, I would guess that this person struggles with expressing their feelings, and so maybe they keep bitterness or unforgiveness bottled up, and they may not even realize it. Here's another example. Dan, interpret this one for us.
Okay, take a look at this screen here. You can see that we've got a big green box. So this person is talking a lot and open about many things, but they know themselves about halfway because there's still a pretty good sized blue box, but they're just maybe not aware. They're just so busy talking. And what they do know about themselves, they let everybody else know. But they haven't gone very deep maybe in understanding themselves. They may get defensive about negative feedback because they weren't expecting to hear back from people. They're so busy talking. And they may be the kind of person that gives too much information out, especially if it's inappropriate personal stuff that doesn't belong in this group or this person. Or maybe they are telling confidential information about others because they're just wanting to talk so much. So these two examples explain that no two Johari windows are alike. Everybody's unique. In fact, your windows will vary depending upon the person you're with. For example, you meet a stranger, they know very little about you until you disclose to them. However, your spouse or your best friend will know lots about you. So for them, the green box is big. And you have the choice as to how much you're going to disclose. And what we really want is to have a healthy sized green box in appropriate ways. And as we develop relationships with people, these boxes are moving and growing or diminishing all the time. And to do it in a way that you're aware of what's going on and what's appropriate is a really good emotional intelligence way to be able to interact with people appropriately. Now, here's a third example. In this picture, you'll notice that there's a pretty big green box, which means they're talking a lot, they're expressing themselves, and yet there's a pretty big yellow box, which means they've got secrets, or there's a whole bunch of things here that they have not disclosed, and they're choosing perhaps not to disclose. They may not express what they really think. They may not be totally honest about what's actually inside them, but they're very willing to listen to other people. They're very willing to just hear what others say and to go along with them. And they may actually act a little bit cautious because they've got a whole bunch of stuff in their yellow box that they don't want to have brought out. And so it may make them a little bit less free to actually talk in a really healthy way with people. Or it could be that they're proud about something, or there's a weakness inside that they just don't want any people to know. So yes, they talk lots. Yes, they're very willing to hear, but they don't tell you a lot about what's going on deep within themselves. So
Yeah, that's fascinating, Dan, because as we're going through these examples, I'm sure people pop into our minds, like maybe even ourselves. So what does your Johari window reveal? Each of us has a combination of all four of these arenas. When we understand our current reality and then intentionally work towards increasing the size of our green space, the effectiveness of our leadership will increase in every area of our lives, including our personal relationships. So at Crest, courses 1, 2, and 3. So you did course 1, you're in 2, even the next one. These 3 are designed to expand your green space and help you know yourself better so that you're confident in sharing yourself, which is key to leadership. Share your story, your purpose, your values, your strengths. This will lead to growing your influence, which is leadership. Okay, that's all for now. You will work on this on your own when you complete this lesson's assignment. We also want to remind you to read the curriculum and interact with others on Slack so that you can talk about these things. And some of these things will be kind of revelations for you or new discoveries, and you'll want to talk about it. And so that's part of what Slack is for. You have a group of people who are going through the same discoveries, and you'll be able to discuss it with them and expand your green space even online. So the next lesson is a major part of this course. It's about values and purpose. You're going to sort through the core of your life motivation, your value system. What do you really care about and why? We'll see you there.